All right. This is part two in our series of leaky gut solutions. We're touching on a very important topic that a lot of people are really interested in, Dr. Chris. Most people don't know what real toxic overload is
Mm,
and what it means to actually do a cleanse. But I think that as we talk about some of the topics that we're going to be touching on today, people are going to walk away from this one and they're going to be like, wow, I didn't know that there was such a thing as an unhealthy skinny person. I didn't know that detoxing could be good for my glands and my organs. I didn't know that dehydration was actually taking like energy away from me. So I know that the people that are watching this, they're going to want to join us for the webinar next Thursday, December 17th, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And to pre-register for that event with Dr. Chris and I, click the link up in the description and join us for that live webinar where we're going to go deep dive on all these topics. But today, let's just be a little bit more succinct, very concise. And let's talk about this topic of toxic overload first.
sure. Well, here's an example. Toxicity overload. Let's say shaving cream. Okay, I'm just keeping it really simple here. And you use a shaving cream, you're not really aware what's in it, especially the one that comes out of the can that you spray on your hand that's really foamy, okay? And you've been using this for a while, days, weeks, months, and then all of a sudden, with the areas that you're used to shaving regularly, you see these little patches, like there's no hair there. That's an example of toxicity overload. That can that you were using constantly throughout, once a day for so many months, years, or whatever to date, has so much toxicity that it actually created on your skin. It got rid of the hair follicles, okay, leaving you patches. That's an example. Another example of toxicity overload are the use of medications, okay, that people have been on for years. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about medication is, well, I have everything controlled because I'm on medication. I go, okay, but we're not designed to be on medication for long, long periods of time because no matter how you look at it, it's a toxin. Every medicine, every medication is a toxin to your body, and it creates cumulative toxins as time goes on. So the two biggest medications that are on the market today, all right, that have the most prescriptions or is the most prescribed are statin drugs for cholesterol, all right, and also what comes with cholesterol? High blood pressure medications, right? Those are the number one and two drugs in America that are commonly prescribed on a regular basis. Okay, and another thing too, with those toxicities, well, here's why it's a toxic overload. Because when you take a drug or if anything toxic enters your body, the body looks at it as this foreign substance that says, hey, who are you? Well, you know what? I don't know who you are, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a fat cell, I'm going to wrap you in it, then I'm going to throw you to the side, and I'll deal with you later. Well, here's what happens. Later never comes, and these fat cells start to multiply, and we start expanding and getting sick. Hence, toxicity overload.
And thinking about this from me not being the doctor, but me like networking with so many doctors, is there's so much that goes on with the glandular system and the organ system. And when we start talking about like a small component like cholesterol, we start talking about a small component of like a statin drug. That what I always heard this one thing is whenever somebody takes a muscle relaxer, what muscle is it actually relaxing? Like it's relaxing all the muscles in the body. So when we think about toxicity overload, we're thinking about the glands, the organs, and we're thinking about the cumulative effect of something over time, which is the cells, the permeability of like the cell being destroyed because of so much toxicity. And then what happens is what the first topic is toxic overload.
Yeah. And then of course too, do you think that affects digestion too? Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the inside out perspective of health. And most people don't understand some of these topics that we're going to be talking about. Like when people are dehydrated, do you think that has some type of cumulative effect on organ function?
Oh, absolutely. So let's get into that dehydration. So here's why we need to have a hydrated holiday season, Jim. Okay. So we need to have a hydrated holiday season because during the holidays, let's face it, we're going to eat, we're going to drink, we're going to be merry. And usually we're drinking things like soda, alcohol, or God only knows what, right? And I wish I had this with me today, but think of like a sponge. You have two sponges on your sink. One is, let's say, really hard, kind of old, okay? And it's dry. And then you have the other sponge that's wet, that's soft, and that's more flexible and pliable, okay? So when I share with my patients about the importance of dehydration, I go, I have these two sponges. Would you rather be the hard, old-looking one or the flexible, colorful one that functions better than this dry, stiff one? And think about what it's doing to your muscles and ligaments and why people, because of dehydration, why they're re-injuring themselves so often. And here's the other thing. What do your organs sit in? Water, okay? 85% plus of your body is water. So why are we drinking everything else and not water? And when people tell me this, oh, I don't like the taste of water, it's not because you don't like the taste of water. It's almost physically impossible not to like the taste of water. It's just that you have so much toxicity overload that your taste buds, all right, are so toxic that it's like a filter. You're tasting all this other junk because there's so much stuff in the filter there. You're no longer tasting what water truly is. And that is supposed to be odorless and tasteless.
Yeah. And that's very important for people to really understand is hydration, physical health, and the best way to get more health and more mobility and more flexibility, more pliability in all of the fibers of the body from cell to tissue is through having a properly hydrated organism, which is your body.
Right.
These are just like very easy topics for us to explain because you're spending most of your time doctoring and helping people with like natural health remedy, which is letting the body heal from inside out.
True. Yeah, and here's another thing about water too. Remember, the body can survive without days, weeks, sometimes even months without water, without food. It just can't survive without water.
So another call to action, Jenny Jones Pence says, I'm already registered.
Hey.
So yes. So
Jenny.
give a round of applause to Jenny for being an early register for our webinar next Thursday. If you guys are watching this live, you're watching this through an email message, or you're watching this on replay, please click the link above and pre-register for the webinar that Dr. Chris and I will be hosting December 17th at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to take, like I said, a deep dive on these 5 days that we're doing this series on, these little mini series of uncoding what natural health really is and why leaky gut solutions is something that's going to help people understand the condition of leaky gut, but it's also going to help people understand a full body wellness approach to lifestyle.
Absolutely. Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So there's something else that is inside of this message that we want to share with people today. And most people, I don't want to be polarizing or anything, but most people think that people, when they're overweight, that they're the sick people, that they're the people that are overweight are the only people that are, not healthy. But there is such thing as a skinny fat. Mm-hmm. And there is a such thing as being dehydrated into malnourishment and not being proper health for your weight and not being strong and fit. So let's talk about this phraseology of skinny fat or skinny sick.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually our quote unquote, let's start with our skinny fat people. Okay, these are people that, according to our appearance of them, wow, they must be healthy because they're very lean or skinny. But one of the biggest things I look for with people like that is, what does their skin look like? Because the skin, how nice your skin looks is a direct proportion to what's going on inside of you. What's going on inside of you will dictate what's happening on the outside, right? So usually when I see people with skin problems, we talk about acne, we're talking about just dryness. Let's just say they're looking older. They're not looking as nice as they should.
Eczema, things like that.
You got it, right? These are all systemic things that happen from the inside that manifest on the outside. So we have that going for them. And then also, too, we're looking at people that they're pretty much walking time bombs. They don't realize they're even diabetic, but but their metabolism, for some reason, they're more sugar burners than they are, let's say, protein or fat burners. Okay. So they metabolize sugar well, but they don't understand that cumulative, it's taken a toll on their liver, on their kidneys, in their bloodstream. I mean, it's creating a lot of inflammation. They may not manifest it as weight gain, but what they'll find out later on is some of them have a stroke. Some of them go into a coma. Some of them even are like kind of dizzy. They're not sleeping well at night. They're kind of like zombie-ish, right? They're like the Walking Dead. So that's an example of someone who is like, say, skinny fat. And quite honestly, they don't eat a lot either. Okay. They're drinking all kinds of things that are mostly like, they could be a diet soda. They could be more coffee. They're trying to do whatever it takes to stay awake rather than get the nutrition they need to thrive and be healthy.
And one of these things I really want to touch on, topical, is tone.
Right.
And what you're talking about is their tonal appearance is less vibrant, and they have less vitality within their ability to show up and have a lot of energy. And I think that when people think about, a skinny person, they think of them being more healthy, but like, as we discussed, they might not be vibrating at a high frequency with tone and energy and enthusiastic.
Right. They're actually more of a downer, or they're irritable a lot. They're not really pleasant to be around with. They're constantly looking for sugar sources, because they're burning it so quickly and need more of it. I mean, I know a few of these people, and it baffles me of how they do things, but they know that, there's a day of reckoning that's going to come, and they're going to have to face this one way or the other and take better care of themselves. But a very common thing. So a lot of times when people are more balanced with their food, with their sleep, with everything else, and how they feel, I mean, they are a lot more pleasant to be around with, and more understanding, compassionate, and attentive.
Yeah. If you know that person that's always looking for the midday nap or the quad shot of espresso at 2 p.m., and they seem to be like they have it all together, but they're energetically crashing all the time. They are probably geared as to one of the most important people that you can invite to the link up in the description and say, hey, go check out this webinar that Dr. Chris Colgin is doing on leaky gut solutions. And you might be able to pick up some great information. Or if you guys know somebody that's interested in more information on cleansing and detoxing the body, or you have somebody that's a friend or family or colleague that you want to just maybe invite them onto the webinar to learn more about toxic overload, or what it's like to really get a sensibility for coming into the new year and practicing better healthy habits. This webinar link above, pre-register for that, share it with all of your community out there. Anybody that's watching us right now, just go ahead and click that registration button and join Dr. Chris and I next Thursday on this amazing webinar where we're going to, like I said, take some deep dives and talk to people about some of these topics that they just don't have access to a doctor to talk to them about this stuff.
Yeah. On top of what you were talking about, how people need that espresso, that triple espresso shot at the middle of the day. When I was the on-site chiropractor at Electronic Arts in Redwood City here, they had a Starbucks across the street. But in the interest of time and performance, right, they actually didn't want their employees to go across the street anymore. They built one on campus, which was actually nicer than the one across the street. And you know what the most popular times for that line would be?
2 o'clock.
9 a.m. and about 2:30. Lines out the and I used to go, oh my God, these people are on just a caffeine high, so they could just deal with whatever they got to deal with. It was pretty extraordinary. That was about 13 years ago.
but what they didn't realize is that their endorphins were shot, their hormones were out of balance, the food that they're eating for nutrition value is not full of nutritious.
Yeah, there was a lot of given, put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. And that's just it, is when you guys join us for the webinar next Thursday, December 17th at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you're going to learn about what it means to have nutrition, what it means to do a detox, what it means to start repairing some of these things like IBS, leaky gut, and some of these distresses that you have within your diet. So Dr. Chris, thank you once again for being so pivotal in the information that we can share to help more people with.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. My pleasure.
So tomorrow we'll be sharing our strategy for day 3 of this 5-part series. And that is going to open up more eyes and ears and hearts to understand that health is something that we can all attain. We just need to have a little bit of guidance and a little bit of leadership. And you have to start with yourself first. All right, Dr. Chris, we'll see everybody tomorrow, right?
I look forward to it.
All right. Aloha, as you always say.
Aloha, and I look forward to being of service. And remember, the body always wants to heal.
Yes. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for everybody participating today.